Welcome to Make That Paper, the show where we talk about all the crazy jobs we do to make the cash we need to pursue our artistic dreams.
And to make the monthly minimum payments on the credit card you open to finance that beautiful sofa your kid immediately spilled juice on.
Today's episode is another two-hander.
Yeah, on the one hand, we'll catch a ride on the Postmates Post-up, learn about the Task of Tutoring, and explore the old Cookware Cosplay.
Then we can experience the Chauffeur Allure, attend the Valet Ballet, and speak in the Stuntman Spectacular Vernacular. We are your hosts, Jaime Parker Stickle
and Jason Bieber.
And on today's episode, we have the privilege, nay, the thrill of not one, but two spectacular artists. She is an award-winning actress, singer, dancer, and comedian whom you've seen on shows like General Hospital and Conan O'Brien Can't Stop, and has toured all over the world.
He's an actor, comedian, a writer, director, and an artist who has appeared in films like Clint Eastwood's Richard Jewell and shows like Review and General Hospital.
They are an incredible Hollywood couple and also good friends whom we are so excited to catch up with after such a long time. Please welcome to the show the fabulous Fredericka Meek.
And the superb Richard Lee Warren.
Woo!
Yay!
Yes. Wow.
Hey, that was quite an introduction.
Wow. I'll never get an intro that good again. That was amazing.
You probably won't. That's true.
Yeah. Oh,
Jason has made it his job to like kick it up a notch. Every intro gets even more. I mean, you should write a book on intros. Like, you just put all the intros in it.
I have saved all of our intros in one long continuous document. And when we finally finish this project that has no ending in sight, then I will publish a book of intros.
Yeah, man. You got it down.
Fantastic.
Superb.
Yeah. Those tongue twisters, and I don't practice beforehand. I should really just...
You're doing great.
That's what's fun, because you'll get a tongue twister and then you'll go into your Jaime laugh.
Can't help it. I can't help it.
She complains about it, but I like I threw myself one today.
You did. I'm so proud of you. Usually he gives himself like really clean copy, and he just sees how good I can be without practicing.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
You nailed it.
Gracias.
You guys nailed it because, you gave us all the fodder for an amazing intro. All we had to do was come up with some rhymes and alliteration.
Okay. Well, let's build on that fodder, because I think we're going to have an amazing podcast.
Yeah,
I think
100%. Because let's just talk for a second how I met Freddie in an audition, and it was like, it was so professional, and they were all women, and they had their own production company, Boom Chick Boom. And I was really nervous because I only wanted to work in female-driven content, female-driven narrative, and that just doesn't exist. I mean, it does more so now, but there was not a room or a space where that existed. And so when I got that,
our time.
You were before your time. And to even have gotten into the room with you guys felt like such a huge win. And this was a roster of women who had so many credits and were so talented, and I was like, hi, let's do this. It was amazing. And then through you I met Richard. And when she told me about Richard and his work as a stuntman, and you were traveling around the world, I think you were in Thailand when I maybe met Freddie.
Yeah, Singapore.
Just kind of Singapore.
Yeah.
It blew my mind what you guys were doing. I was just working like an office job that started as a temp, just trying to get auditions. So let's talk about that for a second. Freddie, you've been out here for a long time.
I have.
Because you started when you were a baby. You still are a baby. You're a baby with a baby.
I came out here to go to law school.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. You came out here to go to what law school?
So I got into Whittier Law School.
Oh.
I had to defer my scholarship for a year because I did wrong paperwork, and subconsciously I may have done that on purpose, but
happens.
Story.
Yeah.
I feel like as a pre-law person, paperwork should kind of be your wheelhouse.
That's why I think subconsciously I did that on purpose.
Yeah.
It wasn't a conscious thing, but yeah. So I had to defer it for a year, and I got on a dance scholarship at Millennium Dance Studios.
Amazing.
And I took the LSAT again, and I did even better. But I also lost the desire to go to law school. I figured I would be a really good lawyer, but I wouldn't be happy. And it was, even at the tender age of 19, I was all about being happy.
Yeah.
So luckily I have supportive parents, and they were like, okay, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, let's talk about that. She was already out of college at 19.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so side note, I think we have a mutual friend in common, Natasha Dayon. And you and Natasha are the only two people I know who graduated college or like were 19 starting law school. And I'm just like, what? How does that happen? What the hell is that about? Did you guys go to the same high school?
No, because she's local to here. She used to live in Long Beach, and I'm, from Chicago.
You went to school in Chicago?
Yes, I went to school in Chicago.
Gotcha.
And then in Virginia, I went to college in Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
And I met Tasha, because my parents split up. My mom moved out here when I was 12. So I've been coming out here a lot. And I met Tasha on an audition when I was out here visiting.
That's crazy.
We were auditioning for a play called Love and Something. It was a really janky black play. That's all you can do when you're...
I didn't even know that story.
Yeah.
I love that as a subtitle for the play. Love and Something, a really janky black play.
I love that as your memoir title. I'm saying let's write it down. This is happening. Okay.
Yeah. So we both got hired for the play. I don't think the play ever happened. I remember going to a couple of rehearsals, but Tasha and I just really, really, really clicked. And
yeah, I see that.
And
you too. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Because she's just amazing.
She reminds me a lot of you because of your trajectories were so similar. Law school, creatives, like young when you did it. Like
yeah. And I graduated a year before she did.
But she got the paperwork done.
She got the paperwork done. The bright lights of Hollywood didn't blind her from the paperwork.
She got it done.
By the way, both of you guys came and supported me at one of Natasha's events one time.
Yeah.
I remember
Which
that.
one was?
It was a. I did like a.
That's right. I didn't even know that was Natasha's event then because I hadn't met her yet.
Yeah, that's right. That was her event.
That is
what event are we talking about?
I did. People were doing poetry or reading excerpts.
I remember she used to have those events where people would come, and I actually did one too. I did one at the train station.
I did not know.
I wrote I wrote like a 3-page monologue for it.
It was a literature event.
Yeah.
It was all about
Cool.
It's
Dirty Laundry Lit.
Dirty Laundry Lit.
Dirty Laundry.
Yes.
Oh, Dirty Laundry. Okay, I did know that.
And it was a holiday one. I did a holiday one where I talked about my dad going to prison and stuff like that. And so you guys came and supported me on that.
Oh my God, I have to write her after this because I didn't even associate the two because I met her in grad school, which I went to grad school after that.
Wow.
Oh my God, that's
crazy,
so
right?
funny.
Small world.
Crazy.
Oh my God, it's such a small world. I love this. Okay, keep going. I love this episode. This is so good.
So we just completely hit it off, and she said, she had her desires, and she was like, I'm going to law school, and I was like, okay, I'll see you there in a year. Nope, didn't happen.
Nice idea.
Thought about it.
So that's interesting. I'd like to talk to you about the fact that you were pursuing law, and that was going to be your main trajectory. And you had already been auditioning for theater. Acting was
just dance at that time. Just dance.
Oh, just dance. Okay, so you'd been.
Listen,
so you were a dancer.
I didn't even know, y'all. I didn't know that college was not mandatory.
I didn't either. I did not either.
Yeah. You know what? Good parents don't let their kids know that.
March of senior year. I had no
I'm the opposite. Complete opposite. My parents didn't graduate high school, so it was not important at all to me. But anyway, go ahead, Freddie.
I then retract what I just said.
You don't have to.
So
Richard's mom's listening to the episode going, Jesus.
Yes.
Motherfucker.
Oh, that's how you spell podcast.
No, listen, his mom is really smart and a wonderful, wonderful Southern woman.
Yeah.
She
Okay.
really
I mean, it
and
happens.
she did the best.
Listen,
She had him when she was 14.
listen,
Like,
Oh, really?
exactly.
she
Listen,
did. We do the best that we can with what we know.
exactly. And
Absolutely.
the guy who started Nordstrom's as a shoe store only had an 8th grade level of education and became
There you
like,
go. Oh yeah. I mean, I'm just saying that it just it wasn't important.
yeah,
But
was-
you made it important because you
I did.
went and graduated.
Correct.
which is a
But
big,
anyway, back to
big
me.
deal. Yeah, back to Freddie.
Back to you. Yeah, I really wasn't trying to take away from it.
You'll have your turn.
No, all I was gonna say was I had a friend, Erica, in high school who was decided to enlist in the Army. And I literally said to her when she got accepted, "Aren't you going to get in trouble with the government?" And she looked at me and she was like, "Fredericka." And I said, "Aren't you?" And so I go home and I said, "Daddy, Erica's going to the Army. Doesn't she have to go to college?" And he looked at me like, how do I, like, now I can see his face, like, how do I answer that question without telling her it's not mandatory to go to college? And I said, "Is college mandatory?" And he said, "For you," and walked out of the room.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. That's good.
That having been said, I do wish I would have done a gap year.
Yeah.
Me too.
Right?
I think I would have been better in college if I had had a gap year.
Me too.
But like
I didn't
a
even know that was
working
a
gap
thing.
year, not just a fuck around gap year.
Yeah, like I had the chance to go to Spain for a semester and I turned it down during my junior year. And I turned it down because I had just pledged. I wanted to get to know my line sisters. And I was also scared to go out of the country because my daddy was getting sick. But I wouldn't have felt like after high school, I think if I had that opportunity and done that then, I think that would have been so wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah. So many things that like, well, I tell my students now who are all undergrads, like, do everything now. Do not saddle yourself with like, if I don't start now, then I'm not going to make it. Like, no. Like, take a second, take a gap year after you graduate college if you need to, just be in the moment of where you are, live a little bit, do 100 things, fail at all of them if you have to. Don't race into this, sort of, what do they call it? A rat race?
The rat
race.
Just to become stuck, a cog in the wheel of like somebody else's machine. Like, go live your life for a second. So you can understand the world a little bit better. So you can be more knowledgeable in how you feel about things, right? Form your own opinions about things. I think it's really important, especially if you go to school locally where your parents are. For college, you're not getting enough separation from their lives to form your own opinions and thoughts and ways to do things, right? So even a gap year after college is great.
I think it's so important for every, like, and if I could possibly do this, for every senior in high school, for everyone to spend time abroad, not only, I mean, it's so important. Like, as Americans, we're so spoiled and unappreciative of what we do have here. And that's not to say that there's, I mean, that's a whole nother podcast about the things that are wrong with America. But to be able to appreciate literally things, right? Let's do it. Literally things like running water, just things like, although you could just go to Flint, Michigan. And again, there's another podcast.
And in fairness, if I do a gap year and I'm still considering it, I'm not going somewhere that doesn't have running water.
Well, you'd be surprised though. I mean, so many people I know leave college and do sort of a gap year, but they do it with the Peace Corps and they are going to places without running water and it's the best experience of their life.
That's good.
They're going to run the water.
I have like a handful of friends who did that.
That's great.
And I think it's so valuable to I don't know, self-identify. Who are you? Like, we don't know who we are if we don't leave home, I don't know. My gap year was just getting in my car and driving across the country and living in California, working at Starbucks and figuring it out right after college. So, I think that's important. I think it's important.
I think you do like 4 months working in the Peace Corps, 4 months doing an apprenticeship, and then like the rest of it bum around Ibiza.
But let's talk about
parties start at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Richard did his in Singapore.
That's true.
That's my segue.
Was that your gap year? I think you were working.
Well, my gap year was before I even went to college. So I didn't go to college until I was 24. So I was, I got out of high school and didn't think about college at all. And
what did you think about?
Working and getting out of the house and getting away from my parents and making my own way.
Were you thinking about were you considering your career as an artist already at that point?
Because you're a fine artist and you're an actor, a stuntman, and a visual artist. You're the real deal.
Well, thank you. And I didn't think that was going to be my future. When I graduated high school, I worked making barbed wire, Forbes steel, and then I just worked. And then one day I saw a guy at the factory. This is a true story. I saw a guy. I was the only white dude working graveyard shift making barbed wire, and a guy lost his finger that night.
Oh, Jesus.
And I'm like, you know what? Maybe I should take some night classes. I went back to my old high school art teacher, and I remember seeing a flyer for college, and she wrote me a letter of recommendation. I started taking night classes. I hated high school, so I didn't want to go to school at all. And then I realized that when you do it for yourself, and this is still on the subject of you guys talking about a gap year, because what a gap year will do was it helps you get away, focus on what you really wanted to do. 100%. So for me, in hindsight, it worked out that way because I knew that that's really what I wanted to study. I knew that's really what I wanted to get into. So I moved to Savannah, Georgia. I lived there for a year because you can get a Pell Grant. If you live in a state for a year, you're allowed to get a Pell Grant. So I'd already moved away at 20. It was around 23, and then 24. Now I can go to college, and all of my night classes transferred over, and I'm in art school, Savannah College of Art and Design, which is a very prestigious art school. And I studied film while I was there. So I did all my art classes, and film was the other classes that I took. So I studied screenwriting and all that, and acted in short films while I was there. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have a passion for the acting part. And when I came out here, and I met Fredericka years later after I moved out here, but she also, it didn't happen right away, but you still had more credits than anyone that I'd met at the time. I'm like, oh wow, this is a real working actor. This is great. But I came out here and I always wanted to be a stunt guy, and I went to a stunt school.
Oh yes, this story, yes.
This is a whole separate podcast that we can talk about, but I will leave you with the dangling carrot and a cliffhanger. But I went to a stunt school. I paid dues. It was not a legitimate stunt school. I learned a lot from this guy, but he did not teach. He did not teach how to get into the business as a stunt person. He just took money. And not only did he take me under his wing, but I started helping him teach classes. And then he winded up, he's in jail. He murdered somebody. And I knew the guy he killed, and it was somebody that was around the stunt school. And then for a while there, I was like, that was my LA story. So when I'm like, wow, I move out here to do this, and the guy that teaches me everything is a cold-blooded killer.
We have a true crime podcast here.
This story is amazing. Sorry.
We are going to do this podcast.
Okay.
We're going to produce this podcast from beginning to end, a very special 10 episode.
Oh yeah.
True crime.
I got names, I got stories, I got the whole
First,
deal.
that jingle.
There's, California stuntman school murders.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah. So there you go. So yeah, so that happened, and then I didn't think that was going to be anything. I didn't think anything was going to happen.
Did you keep the school going? Like he went to jail, but okay.
No, I did not. And the other guys wanted to. The guys wanted to keep it going.
Of course.
And I'm like, no, I'm away from that. I didn't think anything was ever going to happen. I auditioned for a stunt show, a live action stunt show. It was Fantasmic at Disneyland, and I won the lottery. I got it. And after I got that, then I started meeting real people in the business. And then they started telling me what you really have to do. And from there on, it went from place to place to place. And I started getting live shows, and live shows led to a few TV and film work. I still do it every now and then, like only by recommendation only. I don't pursue it.
Yeah.
I hurt my knee several years ago, and again, it's hindsight. I went into depression after I couldn't do physical things, But it made me focus on writing and acting. And I'm like, okay, stunts was fun. That was a fun roller coaster ride, but I still get it. Like someone said, hey, we're doing this Star Wars show and they need a guy your age to get drug out of a house and thrown into the street. And spoilers, it's for Skeleton Crew. That's going to be on Disney Plus Star Wars show.
Nice.
And basically it's Goonies in space.
Awesome.
So it's geared more towards the younger Star Wars characters.
We'll be watching.
You'll see me. So for that, it was like, yeah, I'll take a stunt gig every now and then.
Yeah.
But
I feel that way about acting now. Like when I was pregnant, I was still going full throttle, and casting director was like, one that I'd seen a bunch of times. She's like, when are you due? And that felt very intimidating when she asked me that, but you know, I gave my due date. But when I had him, I was bedridden for 3 months before I had him. Like I wasn't allowed, I was only allowed like 2 showers a week, and like I had to go in a wheelchair if I wanted out of the bed, and assistance to even use the toilet. Like it was terrible. And so I couldn't do anything for those 3 months. I had to like, you know, book out. And then and I watched murder trials on YouTube. Speaking of murder, the Jodi Arias case, I watched the entire thing. And then when I had him, I took, you know, some leave just because I was recuperating. I'd been in bed for 3 months, and now I couldn't get up again because he was healthy and delivered. So I was up moving around and I was teaching spin classes, and I hadn't heard from my manager or my agents. And so I wrote them, and they were like, oh, honey, you had a baby. We figured you were done with the business.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, is this how we treat women? This is what we do? This is what we do.
Seriously?
Yeah.
And it was more posed as a question, like, oh, are you still doing this?
Wow.
Okay.
And so it got me thinking, like, oh, wow, is this who I want to be known as? Like chasing the dangling carrot all the time? Like, do I want to be in the rat race, finding coverage for my son or bringing him into rooms with me? Like, is that what I want to do? Leaving him in a waiting room with another actress, stranger, going, can you watch my kid while I go in here really quick? Like, and the answer was, yeah.
We've all done it. I did it. You know,
we've all done
it.
We've all been on the. I've been the person that's watched the kid, and I've been the person that says, "Hey,
yeah, 100%." And then the one that got me was they called me in, and I was 3 months postpartum, and they wanted me to wear a bikini, and I got the call back. It was a call back that they wanted me to wear a bikini, and I'm 5'5", and they wanted me with my baby, and I still had the baby weight because again, I was in bed for 3 months, so it was water weight. Like I accumulated like a lot of fluids, and I was, you know, wearing what do you call those socks, Jason? I had to.
No, compression socks every day, like 2 pair. Anyway, so I go in, and there's these 4 other women that were called back, and they're all 6 feet tall models paired up with other people's babies. Like the parents were there with their babies. Jason had come. I'm with my own baby, having just had him. And they're like, okay, come in and everyone take off their clothes to their bikinis. And I was like, I'm out. I'm done. Nope. No. And then I realized, like, is that what being an actor is? No, it's not, you know? And so that's when I stopped. Like, I still go, I'm still with my representation, but they all know now, like, here's the script. If you want to do it, honey, it's up to you. You know, like
that's how it should be, period.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And when people ask me for like, will you come do this? I'm like, absolutely. But I realize that I'm a writer and a producer. Like, I just like storytelling, and becoming characters is great, but writing them for people and watching them come to life
that's your jam.
Oh my God, it's beyond, it just blows my mind, right? So I feel you, Richard. I hear you.
Yeah.
It's depressing, but then you figure out who you are.
That's right. Yeah. And it's great that you mentioned the storytelling, because it's all about that. You know, I'm still coming to terms with so much of why I still do this. And I got back into an acting class recently, and with the support, and I have to say this before we go too deep into the podcast, but Fredericka support with me and everything that I've done, and other guys, other friends that I have, they don't really have the kind of support that I have, and I recognize that. And she's like, you should get back into class. You seem like you really want it. You're eager to do that. And not only did she help me and tell me I should be doing that, but she also helped me financially say, hey, let's take some of this money and let's get back into a class.
That's awesome.
So she's amazing for that. And I'm still, I mean,
not for birthing his baby.
God damn, I can't give one goddamn compliment without
you all do that.
It's like,
just joking.
No more. That's the end of anything, and especially in this podcast, you won't get one. I'm kidding, but thank you.
But that is a huge point why we love to have couples on, because Jason and I are the same way. Jason's like, you should quit your job and go to grad school.
Yeah,
because you're a writer, and that's what you should be doing.
Yes.
And so
I get to go horseback riding.
Yeah, he gets to go horseback riding.
Yeah.
But we understand that more than anybody. Was there a point in time where you're like, I am not going to get involved with another artist? Like, I need somebody with a resume that is like, I went to business school and I'm in a marketing job, and that is what I should be with, but they'll never understand or support you the way another artist will.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And artists are the hardest working people. They will always make sure that there's a roof over their head, because we've been taught at an early age that being an artist isn't going to make you a millionaire, right? Being a celebrity will, but that's not being an artist.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
It's just, the amount of talent that this dude has it's unspeakable. Like, it's so much, like, and seeing him, so he'll probably talk about this later, but he was in a job that made him absolutely miserable. And it was a creative job, but he was absolutely miserable because he wasn't able to pursue his dream.
Well, creative was in the title, but yeah.
Yeah, just in the title, right.
And thank you. I appreciate you saying that. Thank you.
What was the job?
I guess I could say it.
Yeah.
I guess I could say it. It was a creative manager of a company that dealt with stunt shows.
Oh, okay.
So with my experience, they said, "Hey, you have this experience, and you could be a creative manager." And
adjacent, creative adjacent.
You're still in the trenches as a middle management.
Yeah.
And I realized that I was stuck between a vendor company that's a stunt company and a big conglomerate, huge company that they work for, and it was more about making them happy than it was the cast members, the people that I represent, the people that I have to look after, not only their safety but their happiness and joy as a performer in shows, multiple shows. And
when you're a performer, when you're still a performer, or a performer at heart, your affinity lies with performers.
For sure.
Yeah.
And because I wanted to be the person that I didn't have in that position, which was who's looking out for me?
Yeah.
Is anybody in this looking out for me? And I'm like, I'm going to make a change. I'm going to be that person because of my experience, because of what I've been through, so that you, as a performer, as a young cast member in these shows, can say, this guy fought for us. And I did. And I'm still friends with these people, even though I'm no longer part of that anymore.
Yeah,
they still recognize it. And even today, I still get, and I take pride in that, because some of these young people will just text me and say, hey man, we miss you. We don't have this anymore. And I'm like, look out for yourself. You have to take care of yourself, because nobody's looking out for you. And I
think there's a thread to pull here, because I see actually a parallel between the job you were doing and the part of the job you cared about, which was taking care of people and supporting artists, and what you were saying Freddie does for you. And I'm sure what you do for Freddie, and what Jaime does for me, and what I do for her.
Yeah.
Which is, as artists, we don't just, I appreciate what you said to them, that they need to take care of themselves. They have to look out for themselves.
Yeah.
And we do. But when we find creative partners, either, like this, where we're spouses or friends, or just a collaborative, or just, somebody asked Jaime recently about me, who, if I'm De Niro, who's my Scorsese?
Oh yeah.
And I don't know the answer, but that's a separate conversation. The point of bringing it up is that when you lock into those people, who you work with, who take care of you and you take care of them, that's forever. And you create things together, you make things together, and and it's the taking care of each other, the stuff that isn't seen on camera or in the final art, but that all goes into it and makes the art special. And people don't necessarily know why the art is special. That's why the art is special, because the people who collaborate on it.
Did you just call me your Scorsese? Is that what we're?
I think that's what we just landed.
I mean, is that what we just landed?
That's what I got out of it.
I actually think you're my Joe Pesci.
Better.
That's good.
That's better.
That's good. You,
me.
That was beautiful, Jason.
You guys all did that face, and I'm sorry.
I could do this. I could do this all day long.
Our faces just.
That was like Peter Falk. I don't know what happened.
Peter Falk.
Excuse me. If I could interrupt your podcast for just a second.
I literally watched an episode of Columbo last night, Jason. That's crazy.
We haven't.
Like before
we downloaded all of them. We downloaded all of them.
It's on Tubi. Like I got on Tubi last night. I said I'm watching a Columbo, and I watched the Columbo. That's crazy. Love Peter
That's
Falk.
an acting lesson every week.
Oh man, so
Columbo
good.
and
So
Murder
good.
She Wrote. Those are the two I'm starting next.
And the episode I saw, Leslie Nielsen played a straight guy.
I remember it. I remember that. Well, he wasn't doing. He had done. No, he had done Police Squad.
Yeah, he had, but in this episode of Columbo, he was a straight guy. He was.
Yeah,
that's weird.
Once he
I'd
did the
actually
movie,
like to see that maybe.
Yeah,
it was good. It was fun. I love
Once
it.
he did Naked Gun, there was no going back.
So
I know, right? I know.
Yeah.
That was well said, Jason. By the way,
that was beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you. It felt long and meandering, but
no,
but
and I'm not doing this just to go serve it back to Freddie, but I will say that when we support each other, there's also that element of we take each other for granted from time. We all do it. Anybody in a relationship will do that. Because Jason, what you were saying about like what people don't see, they see the end results and all of the work that goes into making that end result. And it's all about that. That's the magic is what you present to them.
Yeah.
And with Fredericka, I'll say this, we help each other with self-tapes. We help each other with everything. And when I see her perform, I remember her talent that I sometimes forget. And she did Carmen Jones in Santa Barbara, and I just remember just crying my eyes out like in every song. And I'm like, she's singing and she's performing and she's Carmen Jones, she's the lead, and I go, wow, what am I doing with this angel? She's amazing, you know.
Oh, amazing.
And then we get into a fight on the drive home, but but it's those moments
Have
where
y'all seen the way he drives?
No, they haven't.
Stuntman.
You
gotta live a little. He got those curves on PCH. Can't let them go to waste.
That's funny. I totally 100% understand that. There's just something magical. Okay, before I say that, let me just put you two back on the spotlight. How did you meet? Was it when you were playing?
Speaking of stunt shows.
Wait, start the stunt shows, but I think it's funny that you both did cosplay at different things. Like you were playing a cowboy at a county fair, and you were playing a pastry pan.
I
was playing bakeware. I was modeling
bakeware. Not playing with bakeware.
And I've done that too. I've done that too, and I want to talk about that for a second because people actually think that that's an acting job, and that's like half the money that you get is like, oh, go do this, and be an actor. Like I played like a crash test dummy. Do you know? Like I just sat
like
there
an expo or something.
Yeah. Do you remember the crash test dummy?
Yeah.
I
was
walked
it a
around.
car show?
I am slightly envious because I love the crash.
It was an actual crash test.
It was a fair. It was a safety fair. So like the firemen were there, and
gotcha.
like
that makes sense.
it was like a city thing or a county thing, and I got paid to play a crash test dummy. And I just think it's so. We're actors, but this is what you spend lots of money to do in headshots, to be masked in bakeware.
I probably, because this was like a good 20 years ago, and I'm sure at the moment when the costumer is pinning a bake pan here, and here, and a pizza pan on my butt, and another pan on my head. There is a picture of me in this really like beautiful pose, but my face is like this. If I
Was your
remember,
face exposed, or were you like inside?
Yes, no, because it was a fashion show.
Oh my God.
It was a
Awesome.
bakeware company doing some kind of event, and they thought, hey, let's close it out by having a fashion show of all of our wares.
Wow.
And
Okay.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm so
I
sorry.
think somebody probably got fired over that, if it makes you feel any better.
That would make me feel so much better.
Yeah, because that's a stupid idea.
That's a terrible idea. That is a terrible idea.
I was literally like clinkety clinkety clink, like
That's
as I'm
awesome.
going down the runway, clinkety clinkety like what?
Wow.
I mean, I used to do the Renaissance Festival
Oh yeah.
and I was hired as a local artist to come play, a period person. But I think it's kind of funny that they had to pay someone to come be a local person when really you just have all these people who do it for free.
Yeah,
They do.
everybody's-
Yeah, they
Yeah.
do. I've never been to one of those Ren fairs.
Yeah, neither have I.
It frightens me, actually.
It should. They're carnies. I mean, they
Yeah,
all
yeah.
go from state to state now, like as a big, carny
Oh, really?
situation, and they set up. And I don't remember why they needed to hire, but they hired a group of young actors, and we, did some like children's storytelling shows and things
Okay.
Because
like
the
that.
carnies are too swarthy.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. Like, we had scripts and
Yeah.
it was really gross. I had a sign that said, my friend and I, she said sleeping and mine said beauties. It's just so we could take a nap. We always had to be in character no matter what we were doing. And there was no break room. So we had sleeping beauties. And this guy who had just had a jumbo pickle, their turkey legs and jumbo pickles came and kissed us to wake us up.
Oh shit.
And like I screamed and I told our boss, and he was like, "Welcome to the show, ladies." And that was it. Like there's like sexual harassment. Nobody gives a shit at the Renaissance Festival.
Oh
you
my
put yourself out there.
gosh.
Yeah, it was crazy. But it was my
No
first
thanks.
paid acting job, and I was 18. So I felt
Oh.
really like,
Doing
I
it.
don't want to rock the boat too much. This is good. Go on my resume. Right?
Yeah.
What an asshole. Like
Man.
like me, what an asshole. Them, what assholes. But they were drunk. That's not an excuse.
They were drunk and you
always.
were a kid. And you know
Yeah.
what? It made a great story.
I did.
It makes a great story. But it just, when I was reading about you dressing up in pans and Richard, like at was it a state fair? I can't even find it in my notes. I have notes. And it was like, I've been there, bud.
It was I think it was a county fair, but it was like a 4-H club thing.
Yeah. Oh
in
God, even worse.
In Havasu.
Oh,
And there,
God.
Ooh.
I was recruited to do this gig by these guys that they used to work at the horse track. I think Santa Anita. They're horse guys. Like they're hardworking horse guys. But they created this idea: if you take a barrel, like a plastic barrel, cut it in half, put suspenders on it, now you have a skirt. So the lower half of your body looks like little foam legs that's riding a little stuffed horse. So your legs are under the barrel, but you never see the real legs, right? You get the idea.
I've seen this costume.
So you act like you got the reins, and they're like, "Yeah, we got these skits. These are old men. They're old men." They're like,
Because they use the word skits.
we go to rodeos, we go to county
Skits
fairs,
and spoofs.
and they pitch this thing like, "Man, they love us, man. This is some funny stuff. They get a kick out of it." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay, I can do the whole cowboy thing. Let's do this." So I go and we rehearse. We all, like, I'm staying in the shitty motel with these old guys. We're rehearsing the lines for the next day. It's a county fair. Now, we're going to a county fair where there are real farmers, real cowboys. And it didn't take long for me to realize these guys are not entertained by this comical parody of who they really are. And so they took offense to it. These real hard workers are like looking at us going, is that how you see us? Is that what you think? You know? And then it became more embarrassing because as we're going along and I'm doing these skits and I'm like, "Whoa, horsey, whoa." Like, "Oh, let's follow this little caravan. This guy has a dog dressed like a horse that pulls a little wagon, and it's a CD player that plays music." So we stopped and they played, "You put your right hoof in, you put your right hoof out." You put your right hoof in and you shake it all about. And I'm like, I'm really doing this. I'm really doing this. So it was a really horrible day. And then they go, they love us in the beer garden. And I'm like, no, they don't. I'm not going in there with a bunch of drunk cowboys, a bunch of drunk farmers. And we did. And sure enough, this drunk farmer jumps on the back of my horse, which is just held on by suspenders. Sends me to my knees and breaks my suspenders off. And that was it for me. I walked back to our little tent and I'm like, yeah, guys, I can't do this anymore. It was just too much. Yeah. I'm usually the guy that jumps on the back of somebody else's horse. I'm not supposed to be the guy that gets jumped on.
Right.
You gotta know your lane and stay in it.
Yeah.
But it was acting.
It was acting. It was a gig.
It was
wow, I'm doing this. This is great. I made it, Mom.
And when people love think those. That these are like, oh, sorry.
No, I love those. That is not a gig. That's a side hustle. Like you were performing. That's what I was just
gonna say.
Yeah,
but that is not.
At the time, you do think you're performing.
Yes.
You think, I'm making money performing. It's not a job, but it is. It's a side. You're right, Jason. It is. But at the time, I didn't think of it that way. I think, wow, I could do this all summer. Nope.
Yeah.
One time, and that was it.
You know what? There's a wide spectrum of performance jobs that are, from everywhere from like super cringy and like it couldn't feel like I would rather do typing than this, all the way to dream job acting and everything in between. But it sounds like this was the cringiest.
It was.
I also want to say though that everybody's done these side gigs or acting adjacent job. Like you don't say that you're an actor and not get asked to do something like
stand-in work is like that.
Stand-in work or at a like I vaguely remember it. I think because I like hated it so much. It was my first year here and like I had to dress up as a cowgirl or something. They had costumes at a bar or at a party where they hired entertainers or actors to just walk around and be in character for this corporate party, right? And it's just vaguely remember it because after one night I was like, I'm done. Like this is not. This is not acting.
Because what it does is it takes the thing you love and the thing you're willing to sacrifice so much for and makes it shitty.
It makes it shitty.
But here's speaking of that, here's the catch-22, like working, because Richard and I both have done many years in theme parks.
Yeah.
That is like, and there's people, that's like, yes. Are you performing? Yes. Do you have a live audience? Yes.
Yeah.
Are you getting paid to, to do your craft? Yes. However, it's like.
It's a trap.
It's a trap. Yeah. I was trying to think of how to say it. It's like it's everything you came to Los Angeles or wherever to do, but that's it.
Yeah.
Like that's your bubble.
Cruise ship was the same way.
Yes, exactly.
And
great
it's
example.
It's a wonderful training ground, but I mean, I know I can say for sure I stayed there way too long because of the comfort and the insurance.
But she had that wherewithal and realization way before I did.
Yeah.
Like she's like, I'm winging myself out of this. I can't. And
let's talk about that. Is that Universal? Is that where you guys met? Yeah.
No, we met at Knott's.
At Knott's, yeah.
At Knott's. Okay, let's talk about
same thing, or were you just riding the rides?
She showed on Monday, made love on Tuesday. On Wednesday she was down. We fought on Thursday, made up on Friday, but now I'm losing ground. You call me lazy, you think I'm crazy, so why'd you come around? She want my money, but I got no money. This ain't no savings and loan. on Thursday, made up on Friday, but now I'm losing ground. You call me lazy, you think I'm crazy, so why'd you come